Plants know me, she whispered. I was never meant to belong. I was meant to see. This past life is standing barefoot in a forest, glistening after the rain. Mist is gathering around her ankles, and even the trees seem to recognize her. But the village down the hills calls her the witch, and they will burn her house before the night is through. Welcome back to the Past Life Archives. I'm Kylie King, a hypnotherapist and past life regressionist. And today's session, we took my client into the life of a woman history forgot, a solitary herbalist who healed others in secret while society feared her gifts. As always, names and identifying details have been changed for privacy. But let me introduce you to the forgotten healer. When I first guided my client into trance, before anything else, she just saw colour, deep greens and gold, and then was able to see that this gold light was filtering through these deep green tall trees. It's quiet but alive, she commented. The forest hums at the same rhythm as my body. She moved through this mist, mentioning that her skirts were damp at the hem. She had a leather belt jingling with little small bottles, and a bundle of herbs swung from her shoulder. The client remarked that she felt this may have been early Renaissance Europe, maybe the 1400s. And she took me back to where she lives. And in her hut, jars lined the shelves. She had crushed petals and roots, baskets full. She brewed teas, she mended wounds, and she delivered babies when the priests refused. People came all the time, but generally at dusk, and they would knock softly. And I remember her saying to me, I don't keep track of names, only heartbeats. And then unfortunately, the weather changed. A winter happened and a winter fever came. And unfortunately, our child passed away. And fear came. And of course, they needed a target for this fear that everyone felt because of this winter fever. And it found her. The people in the village that she'd helped previously had all of a sudden changed. They said her remedies were curses, her prayers were devil work, and overnight doors slammed and whispers thickened. And she got really teary. And she said, they used to bless my hands, and now they cross themselves when I pass. But she didn't stop. She kept doing it. She kept being there as a place to go. And some mothers still crept through the woods after dark, leaving silver buttons by her door as payment. And she healed them anyway. The body doesn't care about gossip, it only needs kindness. Then, as we moved into the next scene, my client's breathing started to quicken while she was in trance. And she said, they've lit torches. I can smell the pitch from the torch. They're coming for me. She ran barefoot, moonlight flashing. The forest that once comforted her was now hiding her. She slipped into a hollow beneath the roots of a great big tree. And from inside the earth, she watched orange light flicker across the night sky. Her hut and all of the ingredients and concoctions that she had made went up in flames. The mob cheered, and then they went away. And when dawn arrived, Although there were ashes everywhere, she was still alive. And she said, they've burned my house, but they have not burned the knowing. Alice, that was her name, gathered what herbs survived and walked deeper into the forest. There, among the ruin, she built a new life, with only animals for company. And these animals she mentioned were a doe, a fox, and a wise blackbird. Years passed. She grew grey-haired, gentle-voiced, and lived by a stream that mirrored the sky. And when it was her time, she didn't have fear. It was relief. She said, I've done enough. My work will live in the roots. So with all this knowledge and everything that she'd overcome, I had to ask, what message? What message do you want your current self to hear? And her voice became calm and resonant, and it said, don't hide your voice to stay safe. Kindness will be misread, but it's still holy. Truth doesn't need an audience. Healing happens quietly. And then she said, I'm going home now. When this client opened her eyes and we'd finished the session, there were tears. And I could feel the tears. It's such a life, such a beautiful life, and such profound wisdom shared. And the client said to me, I felt like remembering who I was before the world told me otherwise. And that really hit me as well. This life, Alice, as she introduced herself, this past life Alice, that life showed her, and maybe all of us, that being misunderstood doesn't mean being wrong. Sometimes the path of service is lonely because it's sacred. Sometimes our role is to hold the light until others remember how to see again. So if you've ever felt out of place, too sensitive, too caring, perhaps you're carrying the vibration of old healers, the ones who knew the plants, silence, and forgiveness, the ones who were burned, exiled, and forgotten, yet who kept on loving. Their wisdom lives in our modern kindness, in every quiet good deed that no one notices. So I would say, be like her. Keep listening to the plants and the world, and still know who you are. Thank you for listening to the Past Life Archives. If this story resonated with you, remember to like, subscribe, and share the light. Thank you.